Well, hello again. I'm Sherry Mitchell and welcome to my farmhouse. As we all know, home is in the kitchen and this is where it all happens at. Today I've got something I think that you're really going to like, and it's all the rage. It's kitchen gadgets. Remember I talked about my KitchenAid mixer, my stand mixer that I love. Well, my daughter-in-law Tina talked me into this new contraption that's called an Instant Pot. And it's really basically a pressure cooker. Now it does a lot of other things. It's a slow cooker too. There are a lot of different variations on here that you can use. And today I'm going to show you a very basic recipe. We're going to use the Instant Pot to boil our eggs. Now we hope they don't blow up, right? Because at first you think so. Now I want to tell you my first introduction to a pressure cooker was back in 1962 when we moved to the little white farmhouse over in Beaufort, Ohio. My mom had an old-fashioned pressure cooker and hers was a pot with a handle and the lid went on and there was another handle and you joined the two handles together and she put it on the stove. And my best remembrance of knowing that, we all go back to that first time we're introduced to something. We had come in from doing farm work and Mom had thawed out a big old roast. And she said, oh gosh, that's what I was gonna have for dinner. No microwave, we don't unthaw a hamburger. So she said, well, I'll get out my pressure cooker and I will do it in that. So she put that in there, put the handles together, it gets up steam and there's steam coming out of some little nozzle here. And then she puts this weight on there. And that would hold the steam in and it would go for an hour, okay? Now normally what she was doing, which was a chuck roast by the way, it was a big thick chuck roast, would take 3 hours or maybe longer, but it only took an hour. And it was wonderful, and it was so good. So that's the beauty of this little contraption right here, is how fast you can get something done. Okay. All right, so here's my pressure cooker, my Instant Pot, and today we're going to do some nice eggs in the Instant Pot, and here's how you do it. Okay, so we're going to remove our lid, set that aside. Now we have what's called a trivet that came with my Instant Pot. Okay, but first of all we're going to put a cup of water in. So anytime that you're using the Instant Pot, there's either going to be chicken broth or water. I don't use a lot of chicken broth, although the recipes out on Pinterest call for a lot of that. Most of the rule, if you're doing meat, the meat has its own water, but you do need some water, okay? And then this is just the little trivet. So I'm just going to put that right down inside of there. In the middle, I didn't show you that, the middle of mine is too big for the egg. So I just took a piece of foil, and you can put foil in this Instant Pot, which really surprises me. You know, you can't do that in the microwave. No foil in the microwave or it starts snap, crackling, popping, and blowing up. And then we're going to take our eggs. Now, farm fresh eggs are the best. But farm fresh eggs gathered recently do not do well when you go to peel them. What happens is when you go to peel it, it takes off too much of the meat. So it's best to use eggs that you've had in the refrigerator at least a week. Or if you go to Kroger and you buy it at Kroger, those eggs do wonderfully well. Okay, so that's not a problem. So we have a little Duke's mixture here of white and brown, and we're just going to take our egg, and I will place them on the trivet, and we'll show you a picture of that here in just a second. One by one. Now you can stack these up. You can do more if you want to. I'm just doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, I'm going to do 7. Okay, so you saw how we placed those in there, and you can kind of pile them up if you need to do more than that. And then we just take our lid. I'm going to try to do this backwards. I don't know. There we go. We just put our lid on and we turn it and it locks into place. Now here's the thing you don't want to forget. My mom's used to come off, it was a heavy weight went on there, but this one just turns, so when we get done, if we want to vent it, we turn it this way or this way, but for when we're cooking, we need it this way. Now it's going to rattle a little bit, so don't panic on that, and then you'll hear it go like the suction makes. And then all we're going to do over here is we're just going to go to our manual and set the timer. It's basic. It's 5 minutes, done. Now, if you are going to do it on the stove to do the deviled eggs, it usually takes about 10 minutes once the water starts to boil. So that's key on making deviled eggs on the stovetop. And you can do that if you don't have an Instant Pot. But I got a lot of other recipes coming up with the Instant Pot, so you might want to buy an Instant Pot. And you can get this on Facebook Marketplace pretty cheap. So anyway, 5 minutes is all that we need for that to happen. When 5 minutes is up, all we do is vent it, and it'll just send the steam in the air, and we take it off and bring our eggs out. Now, this recipe that I'm going to share with you is one of my mom's old versions. It is basic. I'm going to give you basic. So you can always add more to basic, right? But you can't take out, for instance, if you want, and this is a recipe that calls for like chopped onions, regular yellow onions in that. Well, small children don't like onions, right? Most as a rule, you might get 1 out of 100 who says, oh, yummy, I love an onion. No. So if you want to introduce them to new foods, remember, their palate is different than ours. So onions are a little bit funky to them. So this basic recipe is like eating an egg with some mayonnaise and a little bit of mustard, and it's palatable to little children. You want them to like these new foods that you're introducing. So we'll get started on that here. I'm going to get my eggs out of here real quick. As soon as we get done with the timer on that, we'll get them out and we'll be right back. All right, so I've already started. I've gotten my eggs out of the Instant Pot, and I'm just going to show you real quick. I hope this one will peel good. Just to peel an egg, real basic, just crack it and roll it, okay? And then just start peeling it off. Now, this is starting to peel very easy. As you can see, it's very slick. The shell membrane is not pulling off half of the egg. I have, even though there are some tips for a pan on the stove, put in some salt, put in some baking soda. I've tried that, but with fresh eggs, this is very difficult. So if you think you're going to do some boiled eggs on the stovetop, make sure that you give them time in the refrigerator so that they are easy to peel. Otherwise, you peel all the white off of the egg yolk, and you have nothing left to put the condiment into the yolk. So I'm going to show you a cute little way today that we are going to do our eggs. Now, the Victorian lifestyle back in the 1800s, they liked things like this. And this is what? A deviled egg plate, right? Your little deviled egg, when we get it all done, would go in here and look beautiful. And it is beautiful. And Victorians like to have a plate or a fork or a knife or a little condiment jar for everything. So we aren't going to use this today, but I will show you a picture that I took of one that I did. So what we're going to do today, this is the cutest little trick that someone taught me. She did not have one of these pretty little egg plates, and she needed to take a bunch of eggs to her party. So she thought, what should I do? So she took the carton, and instead of cutting the eggs long ways, she cut them in half. Okay? And this became her carrier, which is the cutest ideal ever, because this you have to be careful of. You cover it, yes, but you know, the eggs could slide out. But you put them in here, wash the carton. All I did was put a little water in here, a drop or two of Dawn, shut this up with water in there, and did a good shake over the sink, and then opened it up and rinsed it out really good, just because we don't want to have any germs. And this makes the cutest little carrier. So you could take 4 or 5 of these, because if you have a big family, you're going to need more, because most men will eat 3 or 4 in a heartbeat. Okay? All right, so this works out wonderfully well, and I'll show you some other little cute tips too. Now let me grab a bowl here, and we'll get started on this, because we're going to take our egg yolks and we're going to start making the filling for the deviled eggs.
right, it's recording.
Okay. All right, so we're just going to take our eggs, since we're going to use this cute little carton I just told you about, which is a cool idea, and we're going to cut our egg in half, not lengthwise. You can do lengthwise. This recipe will work for either or, but if you don't have that special plate, or you want to look really cool coming in with this, or you want to send it to school or something of that nature, this is how we're going to do it. So we'll cut it in twos, like that, right in half. Now, as you can see, these cooked wonderfully well, okay? They're not all runny on the inside. They peeled wonderful. Not one of them blew up in that Instant Pot pressure cooker. And that's all good. That's all good. All right, so then what we'll just do is we'll just take a spoon, and we're gonna need 6 egg yolks is what we're looking for. Okay. Get those all out of there. You don't have to try to clean them completely out. Doesn't matter. You're going to put this yolk back in there anyway. Now, I kind of like the idea of those eggs. As you saw, they were standing upright instead of laying down flat. And that helps also to keep the yolk in the middle instead of where you wind up with the yolk on the one side of the egg, and it makes a real thin, flimsy side that you can't hardly hold in your hands. All right, and one more. All right, so there we go. And these we'll just set aside because we're going to fill those, and then we're going to do some other cool things, and we'll just set that over there, okay? So we're back. I got all my condiments out here, and we're ready to now assemble. So we needed 6 of the egg yolks, and then we're going to need a little bit of mayonnaise. We're going to do about 3 tablespoons of mayonnaise. Oh, call that 1. Oh, I'm trying to shake that down to prevent that. And we'll call that 3. Okay. And in this recipe, precision is not that big of a deal. You could add more if you needed to. And then we need to do mustard. Now, one of the things that I looked up, I had to know, and I might have asked this when I was a child, who knows. Why do we call this deviled eggs? Where did that come from? Well, it goes way back to 1700. And anything that was called deviled meant that it was hot and spicy. Okay, so what were the 2 ingredients that they used back then, of course, which was a pepper, which was the like cayenne pepper, or a mustard, which they felt was hot and spicy. So that's kind of where that came from. So I'm going to use a spicy brown mustard for this recipe. You can certainly use the yellow. Let's get that down to the bottom. So that's 1.5, so we'll just call that good. What's it up, right? And then we need 1.5 tablespoons of our sweet relish. Now be careful when you first get your sweet relish, because when you first open it, sometimes you get a lot of water, and you don't want this too soupy. So we're going to do 1.5 tablespoons of this, and I love sweet relish on a good hot dog with a little mustard is the best. Absolutely the best. All right, so we've got all that together, and then we're just going to do a little dash of salt. You're just going to have to guess a little bit because we like salt and a little pepper, right? Now, if you want it hot, you could use the red cayenne pepper in this, and you'd have a little heat. All right, and then all we're going to do is just use our fork, and we're going to smash this all up together. And this is going to then be spooned into our halved eggs. Now, as a child, I would be right here on the countertop with my face practically in the bowl watching my mom do this, right? Smelling how good that smells, and it does. Try to get the lumps out is what we're working towards here. It's just getting the lumps out. I should have used the little masher. That might have done that faster. So we'll just kind of whip it up a little bit. Actually, I'm thinking that those, that sweet relish is really kind of lumpy. It's what's lumpy any more than the egg yolk. Okay, so I'm going to call that good. And of course, my mother always tastes everything, right? Yum. That is so delicious. And if you wanted a little more salt, you put a little more salt in at that point. Okay. The mustard amount is perfect. You know, get too much, you might be overpowering it, but that's just the perfect amount. And if you really wanted it to be hot, just throw in a little bit of red cayenne pepper. And I wouldn't do much, a sprinkling. Okay, give me a second and we'll get these assembled. Now we're ready to assemble our deviled eggs. And I brought some ingredients here to spice up your deviled eggs a little bit. Okay? All right, so it's as simple as this. A spoonful is about the same size as your yolk, so we're just going to put that right in there. And then we'll just drop it right in here. It makes it a little difficult if they slide away. Now when you take this somewhere, have the spoon right next to it so they can get it out, because otherwise it's difficult in this cute little container. Now you could put it right in there and try to fill it, but you get the egg yolk all over the carton. Trust me, I know. And my little doggies are wanting in, right? They're saying, hey, I can eat it. I can eat those eggs, and I would eat those eggs. It would be delicious. Okay, just a few more to go. Oops. Just a few more. One and two will be the last one. All right, so this one we're just gonna leave right here for a minute, and I'm gonna show you some other variations that we could do with this. All right, so here we go. So we can take our deviled eggs and we can do, hold on, I'm gonna wash my fingers off real quick because I got a little deviled egg all over them. Okay, so we can put a little bit of what on top of it? It's called paprika, which all deviled eggs have this little paprika. Now, I thought that was what made them hot, but it's not so much. I tasted this and thought, I really don't even taste a taste in that. So we can sprinkle them with a little paprika, okay, and make them look all festive. And that's your basic right there. Nothing more. We already put salt and pepper in it. The paprika just makes it kind of look exciting. Okay, but with this one, okay, what could we do different? Okay, so we want to spice them up. Maybe you do a carton of basic, and then maybe you do another carton with, how about, who doesn't? This is the name of the game now, which is bacon bits, right? Everybody loves bacon bits? Yes, so you could actually cook your bacon and have that. You can crumble it up, or you can keep some little long pieces that you can stuff in here. Or when you make bacon for breakfast, just make the whole entire pack, whether you're going to eat it or not, and store the other right in the refrigerator. That's what I do. And then I always have a little bacon on hand that's already cooked to throw on an egg or to throw into my deviled eggs. So we'll just take a little bit of bacon and we'll crumble it on top. Okay, or a nice little chunk. You could lay it or stuff it. Okay, now you might just get by with just that. Maybe that's all you want. Okay, or let's do you like green onions? Okay, so let's just put a couple little pieces of green onion on there. Okay, that's going to be good when you start chomping on it, right? Or this is Easter, so eggs and rabbits and carrots. And blueberries seem to go well with rabbits and carrots and eggs. So let's just go ahead and we'll put a carrot stick in there. Okay? Well, that's one. Let's go ahead and sprinkle up another one over here. Okay, we'll put a couple more green on there. And then how about, does everybody like an olive? Some people do. If your family isn't an olive fan, I would not recommend this. But my granddaughter could eat a jar of the black olives herself. She loves it. So if you want to just put a little bit, slice them in two, and just put an olive on top. Maybe that's all you want. Maybe you don't want any carrot, or maybe the bacon bits, or maybe it's just bacon bits and the olive. You can do all kinds of crazy things. You can even put the blueberry. Now we have our fruit and our protein from the egg too, okay? And then maybe we're gonna put just a little bit of bacon bit, because the bacon bits are just awesome. I just love them, okay? So you can be as creative as you want with your cute little eggs. When you get to your party, I swear, the washing machine eats socks, and the silverware drawer breeds silverware, because I have silverware in here that I don't even know where it came from. It does not go with what I have here. It doesn't even match. So you can take a spoon, just have your spoon laying there. Go ahead and get your egg out like that. See how simple that was? Okay. We'll go ahead and doctor this one up. And I'll go ahead and do the rest of these, and we'll be right back. All right. So here's your little carry case. It's nothing more than an egg carton. And we cut these sprigs down just a little bit so they wouldn't hit up in the top. We'll just shut that right up, put that right into the refrigerator, and take it. If you wanted to share it, you could cut this carton right in two, and you'd have 6 eggs and 6 eggs. And maybe you take those 6 to work with you and you share, or that's your lunch or your snack or your 10 o'clock or your 2 o'clock break. And it's a good wholesome snack. It's very good for you. And the kids kind of think it's cool that they open up the egg carton. Sometimes you have to make fun or food fun and interesting for some of these kids to do. All right, so we're going to sample these up here in just a minute, and I'll let you see what we think.
You're good.
All right, well, here we have just a cute little plate full of our eggs, and it's a wonderful little Easter treat. I have this recipe out on my website, not Cherry, my name is Sherry, sherryphillipsmitchell.com, and you can find this basic recipe and fix it up however you want. Send me a message if you have an even better idea of something you might put on your egg to make a good wholesome snack for dinner. Bon appetit. Delicious.
The bacon actually isn't bad on it.
You like it?
It's good.
You like it a lot?
It's super good.
Super good?
Honestly, I don't experiment with food, so I wasn't expecting to like it, but the bacon, yeah, it's